The galaxy's strongest fighters went quiet as they watched humans training. Part 1. Arrival at the Joint Training World. Eric adjusted the straps of his backpack as he stepped off the shuttle. The air was thin but fresh, carrying a faint metallic smell that reminded him of new machines. He looked around and saw the massive training world before him. Towering structures stretched into the sky, their tops hidden in clouds. Huge arenas were scattered across wide plains, each designed for combat, strategy, and endurance. Eric felt a thrill run through him. He had seen combat zones before, but nothing like this. Beside him, Ryan walked with a steady pace, his eyes scanning the horizon. Ryan was taller than most humans, with broad shoulders and a calm expression. He seemed to take everything in, always measuring, always planning. "This place, it's bigger than I imagined," he said quietly, his voice carrying a mix of awe and excitement. Laura and Megan followed close behind. Laura's hair was pulled back into a tight braid, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. Megan, on the other hand, had a more serious expression. She studied the people around them, the aliens in the distance, and the machines moving across the ground. They were not alone. Other beings were arriving as well. The aliens came in many shapes and sizes. Some were tall, their limbs long and thin, moving with a grace that seemed almost unnatural. Others were short and stocky, their bodies covered in thick scales or armor-like skin. There were even floating creatures, hovering in the air with no visible legs or wings. They all looked at the humans with quiet curiosity. Many of them had trained for decades, some for centuries. They were known as the strongest fighters in the galaxy, warriors who had conquered entire worlds or survived battles that would destroy most life forms. And now they were here to watch humans. Eric felt a small wave of unease. Humans were strong in their own way, but compared to these creatures, they looked small and fragile. He remembered what Captain Lewis had said before sending them here. Humans survive and adapt, even in impossible situations. Humans fight with intelligence, endurance, and teamwork. That would be their advantage. But standing here, surrounded by legends of the galaxy, Eric wondered if it would be enough. A loud voice boomed through the air. It was the arena commander, an alien with a thick, silver-colored exoskeleton and bright violet eyes. "Welcome, fighters of all worlds," he said. His voice carried over the entire training field, deep and commanding. "Today, you will observe and learn. Today, you will meet warriors you have never seen. And today, some of you will be challenged." The humans nodded, standing straight and showing respect. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan had trained for months for this moment. They had prepared for harsh conditions, for alien combat techniques, and for the eyes of thousands of observers. They had no illusions. This would be difficult, but they were ready. The first human drill began in a wide, open area. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan stood in a line, facing the center. In the middle, a platform rose slowly from the ground. On it stood a large alien warrior named Cora. Cora's muscles were massive, her skin a dark green with a pattern of glowing lines that pulsed as she moved. She carried a weapon that looked like a cross between a sword and a staff. She looked at the humans with curiosity, her head tilting slightly to one side. The humans began their warm-up. It was simple, almost too simple. They ran in circles, did stretching exercises, and moved their arms in fluid motions. The aliens watched, some with amused expressions. Cora raised an eyebrow and muttered something in her own language. Most of the humans could not understand it, but they sensed the amusement. Then the real training began. Eric and Ryan took turns performing combat drills. They moved fast but not recklessly. Each punch, each kick, each block was precise and controlled. Laura and Megan moved in coordination, practicing defensive maneuvers and timing attacks. Their movements were not flashy, not designed to impress. But there was a rhythm, a flow that the aliens could not ignore. Cora stepped forward, curious. She raised her weapon and made a sweeping motion. It was a test meant to intimidate, but the humans did not flinch. Eric stepped to the side, Ryan blocked with his forearm, and Laura and Megan moved together to disarm an imaginary opponent. Cora stopped, her eyes narrowing. She had never seen humans move like this. Their bodies were smaller, weaker perhaps, but they were quick, adaptable, and intelligent. Other aliens began to gather closer. Talrek, a massive four-armed fighter with gray skin and horns, whispered to Veshin, a floating creature with a transparent body. "Do you see this?" Talrek asked. Veshin's eyes glowed brightly as he observed the humans. "It is unusual," he said. "They do not rely on power. They rely on thinking." Eric noticed the growing crowd of aliens. Their silence was strange. Normally they would cheer, shout, or even mock weaker fighters. But these aliens were quiet. They watched every movement, analyzing, calculating. Eric felt a mix of fear and pride. Humans had done well so far, but the hardest part had yet to come. After several minutes, Megan called out, "Switch positions." The humans moved quickly, forming new patterns, testing each other's reactions. They simulated attacks from multiple directions, using teamwork and communication. Every move was purposeful. Every step had meaning. The aliens began to murmur softly, their interest growing. Cora lowered her weapon slightly. Talrek folded his arms. Veshin's glow dimmed, a sign of concentration. Even the smallest aliens, the ones with wings and claws, stopped their restless movements. They were learning something new. Humans did not have the strongest muscles. They did not have the deadliest weapons. But they had determination, endurance, and the ability to adapt quickly. As the sun began to set on the training world, the humans continued their drills. Eric felt sweat running down his face, his muscles aching, but he did not stop. Ryan encouraged him quietly, "Keep your focus. Watch and learn." Laura and Megan did the same, their eyes sharp, their movements precise. From a distance, the alien audience grew larger. News of the humans' unusual training had spread quickly. Even some of the oldest and most powerful fighters came to watch. They were curious, skeptical, and maybe a little worried. For centuries, they had believed that strength came from size, weapons, and years of experience. And yet here were humans, small and seemingly weak, showing a different kind of power. The humans did not notice all the attention. They focused on each other, on improving, on pushing beyond their limits. Eric felt a strange pride. Humans had always relied on teamwork and creativity. Now, it seemed the galaxy was beginning to notice. As night fell, the humans gathered in the center of the arena. Their bodies were tired, their minds alert. Around them, aliens whispered and watched. Cora stepped forward and spoke in a low voice. "They are different," she said, "stronger than I imagined, not in muscle but in spirit." Eric looked up at the stars, trying to ignore the growing tension in the crowd. He did not need recognition, he needed focus. The humans would train harder tomorrow. They would show the galaxy what humans were capable of. And slowly, quietly, the strongest fighters began to understand that this was not a simple drill. This was the beginning of a new era. The humans camped near the arena, their tents simple, their fires small. Eric sat by the fire, sharpening a training tool. Ryan was checking their supplies. Laura was tending to small injuries, and Megan was already planning the next day's drills. They were tired but alive and more determined than ever. In the quiet of the night, the galaxy's strongest warriors watched from a distance. Some were skeptical, some confused, and some were afraid. Humans were small, but they were relentless. Humans could survive anything. And now they were awake. Part 2. The strange human methods. The next morning, sunlight glimmered over the vast training fields. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan were already awake, stretching and preparing their bodies for another day. Their muscles were sore from the previous day, but their spirits were high. Humans learned from pain. Every ache reminded them that they were alive, that they could improve, and that nothing could stop them if they stayed focused. The alien audience had grown overnight. Word had spread that humans trained differently, and many of the galaxy's strongest fighters had gathered near the main arena. Korra, Talrek, Veshin, and other champions were there, their arms crossed, eyes sharp. They were eager to see what humans would do next. Some of the smaller aliens whispered to each other, expressing doubt and confusion. Others simply stared silently, trying to understand what they were witnessing. The humans began with warm-up drills again. To the aliens, the movement seemed slow and unnecessary. Eric jogged in place, swinging his arms, while Ryan performed stretching exercises that seemed almost ritualistic. Laura did balance drills on one leg, and Megan practiced slow, controlled punches in the air. It was repetitive, almost boring to watch. The aliens whispered and laughed softly. "What are they doing?" Talrek asked, raising one arm. "This is not combat, this is exercise." "They are strange," Veshin replied. His voice was calm, almost flat. "But observe, there may be something beneath the surface." Eric finished his warm-up and called the team together. "Today, we work on endurance and reflexes," he said. The others nodded. Humans did not rush. They did not try to show off. They practiced slowly, deliberately, and with purpose. Every motion had a reason. The first exercise involved simple hand-to-hand drills. Eric and Ryan paired up. They moved together, blocking and striking in carefully timed sequences. Laura and Megan mirrored their actions on the other side of the field. Slowly, the humans increased their speed, their muscles burning with effort. Aliens watched in silence. Their expressions shifted from amusement to confusion, and then to something deeper: interest. Korra stepped closer. She raised her weapon in a mock attack. "Let me see how they respond," she said softly. Her movements were fluid and fast. Eric and Ryan did not panic. They adjusted their positions, anticipating the strikes. Laura and Megan joined in, coordinating their timing. The humans moved as one, covering each other's weaknesses, and the aliens froze. How are they doing that?" whispered a small, insect-like alien named Nira. Her wings fluttered nervously. "Their strength is small, but their speed, their mind, it is different." The humans continued with another drill. This time, they practiced endurance. Long runs, obstacle courses, and climbing exercises tested their bodies to the limit. Sweat ran down their faces, dirt smeared their clothes, but they did not stop. Every step was measured, every jump deliberate. Aliens who had trained for decades could not match the humans' focus. They were fast, yes. Strong, yes. But human determination was something else entirely. Megan led a new exercise involving teamwork. A weighted sled needed to be moved across a long track. Alone, the task would have been impossible. But together, the humans pulled and pushed, adjusting their positions, synchronizing their movements. Slowly but steadily, they moved the sled forward. The aliens' eyes widened. None of them had seen coordination like this before. Strength alone was not enough here. Humans used strategy, communication, and trust. Korra frowned, her glowing eyes studying the humans. "They are small, but every move is perfect," she said. "They fight as a team." "They learn fast." Talrek shook his massive head. "Even if I had 20 years of training, I could not match their coordination without losing balance." After a short break, the humans returned to the drills. Ryan set up a series of simulated attacks using alien-style weapons. The targets were large dummies shaped like some of the strongest alien species. Eric ran through the sequence first, dodging and countering every strike with precision. Laura and Megan followed, their movements sharp and controlled. The aliens watching began to murmur among themselves. "They adapt quickly," Veshin noted, his floating body pulsing softly. "Observe how they change with each attempt. They do not repeat mistakes. They improve, instantly." The humans did not speak much. They did not need to. Their bodies communicated more than words ever could. Each step, each strike, each block was a statement of understanding. The aliens could see the learning, the growth, and the determination. Slowly, some began to realize that human strength was not measured in raw power. It was measured in will, in endurance, in the ability to adapt to any situation. Eric wiped sweat from his forehead. "Next drill," he called. "We do reflex training." The aliens looked skeptical. Reflex drills were simple. Tap a target, dodge a swing, move fast, but humans did them differently. Eric threw multiple objects at once, some small, some heavy. Ryan, Laura, and Megan reacted instantly, catching and dodging with split-second timing. It was chaos to an outsider, but to them, it was a dance. Every movement had meaning. Every reaction was planned. The alien crowd grew quiet. Even the loudest, most confident fighters could not move fast enough to match the humans' reactions. Cora's jaw tightened. Talrek's four arms twitched in frustration. Neera's wings drooped in awe. The humans were showing that power alone was not everything. Intelligence, focus, and adaptability mattered more than any natural strength. After the reflex drill, Megan introduced a new exercise: mental endurance. Humans needed more than physical skill to survive in the galaxy. They had to remain calm under pressure. She created a simulation where the humans had to make split-second decisions while under stress. Lights flashed, alarms rang, and holographic enemies appeared from all directions. Eric and Ryan worked together to defend the center, while Laura and Megan moved strategically to block, trap, and redirect threats. The simulation became more complex with every passing minute, but the humans did not falter. Their minds stayed sharp, their bodies stayed focused. From the observation platform, Cora whispered, "They are perfect in timing, not perfect in strength, but perfect in response." Talrek leaned closer. "This is not normal. Humans should fail, yet they adapt instantly." Veshin floated silently, analyzing. "They rely on each other. Each one covers another's weakness. Each action is calculated. This is strategy at its finest." The day wore on and the humans continued to train. They combined physical drills, teamwork exercises, and mental challenges. The aliens were amazed. They had expected weakness, but instead they saw a strange, unyielding strength. Humans were not flashy or loud. They did not boast. Yet every movement showed confidence, skill, and resilience. As the sun began to set, the humans gathered for a final drill. They ran through a series of complex exercises that tested everything they had practiced that day: endurance, reflexes, teamwork, and strategy. The aliens could not tear their eyes away. Even the smallest gestures, the smallest adjustments were impressive. Humans were learning faster than anyone had imagined. Eric paused for a moment, looking at his team. Their faces were dirty, sweat streaked across their skin, but their eyes shone with determination. "We did well today," he said quietly, "but tomorrow we push harder. We show them that humans never stop." Around them, the aliens whispered among themselves. Cora folded her arms. Talrek's fists clenched. Veshin's glow pulsed with intensity. The strongest fighters of the galaxy were beginning to understand that humans were not like any other species. Their strength came from within, from willpower, from the refusal to give up. Neera, the small insect-like alien, hovered closer to the humans. She had seen warriors who could crush planets, who could move faster than sound, and who had survived centuries of war. Yet even she felt a strange respect for the humans. "They are small, but they are alive in a way that others are not," she whispered to herself. As night fell, the humans returned to their simple tents. Fires burned softly and the stars twinkled above. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan sat quietly, sharing water and energy bars. Their muscles ached, but they were satisfied. Today had been hard, but every moment had been worth it. Far above the training fields, the galaxy's strongest fighters observed in silence. They had expected humans to be weak, easy to defeat. Instead, they had seen patience, intelligence, teamwork, and endurance. Slowly, quietly, the aliens realized that humans were different. They were not the strongest in the traditional sense, but they were strong in a way that no one had truly expected. The humans slept under the stars, ready for the challenges of tomorrow. The galaxy's champions, still watching from a distance, wondered what would come next. One thing was certain: the humans were not ordinary, and the next day they would prove that again. Part 3. The first real test. The next morning, the air was thick with anticipation. Word had spread across the training world that humans had trained differently, and many aliens had gathered near the central arena. Some were curious, some were skeptical, others were quietly worried. Cora, Talrek, and Veshan, the galaxy's strongest fighters, stood at the edge of the field, their eyes fixed on the humans. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan stood together at the starting point. Their bodies were tired from the previous days, but their minds were clear. Today was not just practice. Today was the first real test. A sparring match had been arranged between humans and a team of elite alien warriors. The aliens were known across several galaxies for their strength, speed, and deadly combat skills. Many had fought wars alone and survived impossible situations, and now they would face humans. The humans glanced at each other, silently sharing understanding and trust. Words were not necessary. They had trained together long enough to know what each one would do. Megan gave a slight nod. "Stay focused, watch each other, move as one," she said softly. Eric, Ryan, and Laura nodded, their faces serious but calm. The alien team stepped into the arena. They were enormous. One, a broad creature named Zarnak, had muscles like solid rock and claws that could pierce metal. Another, Lyra, moved with lightning speed, her wings glowing as she hovered above the ground. The third, a floating being named Dravik, had tentacles that could strike from all directions at once. They looked down at the humans and laughed softly. "Do they even know how to fight?" Zarnak's deep voice rumbled. "They are small, weak. This will be easy." Cora shook her head, watching the humans. "Do not underestimate them," she said quietly. "They are strange, yes, but they have potential." The match began with a loud signal. The aliens rushed forward, confident and powerful. Zarnak swung his massive arms, attempting to crush Eric before he could react. But Eric stepped to the side, moving fast and light, barely touching the ground. Ryan intercepted a clawed strike from Zarnak, blocking and redirecting it toward an empty spot. Laura moved carefully, dodging Lyra's wing strikes while keeping her balance. Megan stayed in the center, observing, waiting for the perfect moment to act. The aliens attacked in unison. Dravik's tentacles reached in all directions, trying to strike at multiple humans at once. To an outsider, the humans seemed small and outmatched, but they did not panic. Each one moved with purpose. They adjusted constantly, covering each other's weaknesses. Eric leaped and grabbed Dravik's nearest tentacle, using his weight to pull it aside while Ryan blocked another strike. Laura ducked under Lyra's swooping wings, striking at a weak point in her armor. Megan moved fast, using precise kicks and punches to keep Zarnak off balance. The aliens froze for a moment, surprised. Humans were adapting instantly. Every attack they faced was met with a counter. Every move was calculated. The galaxy's strongest fighters had never seen this before. They had relied on raw strength, speed, and experience. Humans relied on observation, prediction, and teamwork. Zarnak roared in frustration, swinging harder. His blows shattered parts of the arena floor, sending dust and debris into the air. But Eric and Ryan moved like a single unit, dodging, blocking, and redirecting the attacks. Laura and Megan supported them, striking at weak spots and creating openings. Slowly, the humans gained control of the fight. They were still smaller, still weaker in muscle, but they were faster in mind and spirit. Talrek, watching from the sidelines, frowned. "They are winning with brains, not strength. This is not natural." Cora nodded silently, her violet eyes wide. Even Veshan, calm as ever, floated closer to get a better look. "Humans adapt faster than any species I have seen," he said. The humans shifted their tactics mid-fight. Eric feigned a stumble, drawing Zarnok into overextending. Ryan quickly moved behind Zarnok, striking with precise force at a joint weak point. Laura coordinated with Megan, luring Lyra into a trap where her wings became entangled. Dravik tried to strike again, but Eric and Ryan combined their efforts, forcing the tentacles back. The aliens stumbled. For the first time in memory, the strongest warriors felt hesitation. Their attacks were no longer as confident. They had faced many opponents before, but never one like this. Humans were small, yes, fragile perhaps, but they fought with a relentless will that the aliens had not prepared for. Megan called out, "Now!" The humans executed a synchronized maneuver they had practiced countless times. Eric and Ryan created openings, Laura struck from above, and Megan landed the final blows that forced the aliens back. Zarnok crashed to the ground, Lyra hovered awkwardly, and Dravik's tentacles twitched as they withdrew. The arena fell silent. Not a single alien moved or spoke. Even the usual murmurs and cheers were gone. The humans were standing, barely breathing heavily, while the elite alien warriors struggled to recover. Cora stepped forward slowly. "Impossible," she whispered. They are not the strongest, but they are better than expected." Talrek's arms trembled slightly. "They are not weak, they are relentless, and they learn fast." Eric looked around at the aliens, his chest rising and falling with controlled breaths. He did not gloat. He did not shout. Humans rarely celebrated in the middle of battle. They assessed, adjusted, and prepared for the next challenge. "We did what we had to," he said quietly to Ryan, Laura, and Megan. They nodded, understanding completely. The aliens finally began to move again. Zarnok roared but did not attack further. Lyra hovered at a safe distance. Dravik's tentacles twitched, but more cautiously. The humans had not destroyed them, but they had shown power that no one had expected. From the sidelines, smaller aliens whispered in awe. "Did you see that?" one said. "They are human, and yet," another replied, "it is not just strength. It is control, timing, and intelligence." Cora nodded again. "This is why humans are dangerous. They do not have the strongest bodies, but they have will. They adapt. They do not stop. That is strength the galaxy has underestimated for too long." The humans gathered at the center of the arena to check on each other. Eric touched his shoulder lightly, feeling a small bruise from the encounter. Ryan had a scratch on his cheek. Laura's leg ached from dodging Lyra's wings. Megan's wrist throbbed slightly from redirecting Dravik's tentacles. But no one complained. Every mark, every pain, every challenge was a lesson. They had survived the first real test and learned something about themselves in the process. Cora and Talrek exchanged a long glance. Both had trained for centuries. Both had faced countless opponents, many stronger and larger than humans. And yet here were small beings standing together, unbroken, adaptable, and smart. Even Veshen's usually neutral expression showed surprise. Eric raised his hand slightly, signaling the humans to relax. "We are not done yet," he said softly. "Tomorrow we train harder. We improve. We prepare for what comes next." Laura and Megan nodded. Ryan exhaled slowly, feeling pride in the team. From the observation platforms, aliens who had been certain of human weakness now felt a strange sense of caution. Humans were small, yes, but their strength came from persistence, learning, and teamwork. These qualities could not be measured by muscle or weapons alone, and in this realization, the strongest fighters felt something unfamiliar: respect. As night fell, the humans returned to their camp. Fires burned softly and stars twinkled above. The aches and pains of the day were reminders of hard work, not weakness. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan shared water and food quietly, exchanging brief words about the day's lessons. Around the arena, the galaxy's strongest warriors lingered, silently discussing what they had seen. Even those who had doubted humans now whispered about strategy, adaptability, and potential. Cora finally spoke. "Humans are not like us. They are different." "And different is dangerous," Talrek nodded. "Yes, They may be small, but they are not weak, not in the ways that matter. The humans slept under the stars, prepared for the next day. They had faced the first real test and survived. The galaxy's champions, still watching from a distance, realized that this was only the beginning. Humans were small, clever, and relentless. And tomorrow, the challenge would grow even harder. Part 4, Strength of Will. The morning sun rose over the massive training grounds, casting long shadows across the arena. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan were already awake, stretching their muscles and preparing for another long day. Their bodies were sore from the sparring match with the elite aliens, but the pain only reminded them that they were alive and improving. Today was different. No one had told them what the challenge would be. The alien commanders had only said, "You will face complex drills that test body and mind. Show us what humans can do." That meant everything they had learned so far, endurance, reflexes, teamwork, would be put to the test again. The humans walked to the training field, their eyes scanning the area. Large platforms floated above the ground, connected by narrow bridges. Obstacles of all shapes and sizes covered the arena floor. Towers, walls, and narrow pathways were designed to challenge balance, strength, and speed. From above, some aliens hovered or flew to observe. Others stood along the edges of the arena, silent and tense. Eric turned to his team. "We know how to work together. Today we do not just react, we take control, trust each other, adapt, and stay focused." Ryan nodded, checking the straps of his gear. Laura adjusted her shoes and gloves. Megan tightened her wrist wraps. The first drill began. A series of moving platforms appeared, each shifting at unpredictable speeds. Small alien drones flew through the air, shooting harmless energy blasts that simulated real combat attacks. The humans needed to move quickly across the platforms while avoiding the drones. At first, it looked chaotic. Eric jumped onto a moving platform, almost losing his balance. Ryan adjusted quickly, grabbing a bar to swing across to the next platform. Laura timed her steps perfectly, moving faster than the drones could follow. Megan leapt and spun, dodging blasts and landing safely on a narrow path. The aliens watching were silent. They had never seen humans move like this. Small, yes, fragile maybe, but fast, coordinated, and precise. Cora's violet eyes narrowed. Taurek's 4 arms hung tense at his sides. Even Veshin's normally calm glow pulsed brighter as he analyzed the humans' movements. Next, the drill changed. A team of alien warriors appeared on the platforms, armed with glowing weapons. They were fast, strong, and experienced. The humans could not fight them directly. They were too powerful. Instead, Eric and Ryan led their team through a series of quick maneuvers, using the platforms and obstacles to their advantage. Laura distracted one warrior, leading him across a narrow bridge where he almost fell. Megan coordinated with Eric to redirect another's attack, causing him to lose balance. Ryan blocked the third warrior's strike while moving Laura to safety. The humans moved as one, anticipating each other's actions before they happened. Cora leaned forward. "They are not just strong in mind, they fight with will. Every movement is controlled, every decision calculated. They are stronger than I thought possible," Taurek grunted. "Strength alone cannot beat them. Strategy, endurance, and coordination, that is their power." The drill escalated further. The platforms began to collapse one by one, forcing the humans to jump and climb quickly. Energy fields appeared that slowed movement or pushed them off balance. Drones became faster and more unpredictable. Yet, the humans adapted instantly. They did not panic. They communicated silently, using hand signals, eye contact, and instinct. Every mistake was corrected before it could cause real harm. Megan called out, "Left side. Eric, cover Ryan." Eric moved instantly, blocking a drone while Ryan jumped to safety. Laura swung across a collapsing bridge, landing perfectly on a small platform. Megan spun and redirected a blast from a drone to a wall, sending it harmlessly away. Each movement was precise. Each action was purposeful. The alien's whispers grew louder. "How do they move like that?" Nira, the insect-like alien, asked, her wings trembling with excitement. "They are small, but they do everything perfectly. They adapt. They never stop. They are different." Cora's voice was calm but firm. "Observe carefully. Humans rely on will. That is their secret. Power is temporary. Will is permanent." Talrek shook his head slowly. "I underestimated them. Humans do not fight like any other species in the galaxy." The humans then faced the most difficult part of the drill. A large arena wall emerged, with multiple alien warriors positioned on top. They began firing energy blasts while maintaining balance on the narrow ledges. The humans needed to climb, dodge, and fight simultaneously. Eric took the lead, finding gaps between the defenders' attacks. Ryan followed closely, helping Laura across difficult spots. Megan moved strategically, timing jumps perfectly to avoid blasts. The humans worked together seamlessly. Every step was coordinated, every strike purposeful. Even the strongest warriors on the wall struggled to keep up. A large alien named Dravok tried to strike Eric with a heavy staff, but Eric ducked and rolled, knocking Dravok off balance without touching him directly. Laura used a high kick to push another warrior backward, and Megan redirected a blast to create an opening for Ryan to advance. The humans were not using brute force. They were using intelligence, timing, and teamwork. Talrek's eyes widened. They are not just fast. They control everything. Every movement is intentional. They do not waste energy. Cora nodded. "Yes, humans have endurance beyond expectation. They adapt instantly. This is the power we must respect." The final part of the drill tested endurance and decision-making under stress. Multiple obstacles moved at once. Alien warriors attacked from all sides, and energy fields shifted unpredictably. The humans needed to coordinate perfectly to survive. Eric and Ryan took the front positions, blocking attacks and creating openings. Laura and Megan moved in sync, striking at weak points and redirecting energy blasts. Every action was a team effort. The humans communicated without words, relying on instinct and training. Even when one human slipped or stumbled, the others adjusted immediately. Eric caught Laura's hand before she fell. Ryan supported Megan as she dodged a blast, and Megan guided Eric across a collapsing platform. Their teamwork was flawless. By the end of the drill, the humans had completed every challenge. They stood in the center of the arena, exhausted but triumphant. Their muscles were sore, sweat and dirt covering their bodies, but their eyes shone with determination. They had faced extreme challenges and had succeeded through will, endurance, and teamwork. The alien audience was silent. Cora, Talrek, and Veshin all stared, unable to find words. The humans were small. They were not the strongest in muscle or natural power. But they had shown a strength that no other species could match, strength of will, adaptability, and coordination. Nira hovered closer to the humans. "They are incredible," she whispered. "I have seen warriors who could destroy worlds. None of them move like this. None of them think like this. Humans are something else." Cora finally spoke to the other aliens. "We have underestimated humans for centuries. Their bodies may be smaller, their muscles weaker, but their mind and spirit are unmatched. Strength alone does not win battles. Will, endurance, and teamwork do. That is what humans have in abundance." The humans gathered for a short rest, checking each other for minor injuries. Eric rubbed his sore shoulders. Ryan flexed his fingers, tired but alert. Laura wiped sweat from her face. Megan smiled faintly, proud of what they had accomplished. "Good work today," Eric said quietly. "We have shown them that humans do not give up, but tomorrow will be even harder. We improve, we adapt, and we prepare for the next challenge." From the observation platforms, the strongest warriors in the galaxy continued to watch. They had come to see humans as weak, fragile and small. Instead, they saw beings who could endure, adapt, and think faster than anyone had imagined. The humans had not yet fought with full force, but they had proven something more important, their strength of will. Korra turned to Talrek and Veshin. We must learn from them. Humans fight with intelligence and coordination, not just power. They are not ordinary. They may change the future of the galaxy. Talrek nodded slowly. Yes, and we have underestimated them for too long. The next generation of warriors will need to remember this. As night fell, the humans returned to their camp, tired but proud. Fires burned softly, stars twinkled above, and the air was filled with the quiet hum of alien activity. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan shared a meal, quietly discussing strategies for the next day. Every lesson learned, every pain endured made them stronger. In the shadows, the galaxy's strongest fighters whispered among themselves. Humans were small, yes, but they were unyielding. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought for survival for each other and for the sheer will to improve. And that strength, quiet, relentless, and unstoppable, was more dangerous than any weapon in the galaxy. The humans slept under the stars, ready for the next day. Their bodies were sore, but their spirit burned bright. They had faced the most complex drills yet and had survived. The galaxy's strongest warriors, still watching from a distance, knew one thing for certain. Humans were not just another species. They were something extraordinary. And the final challenges would show just how extraordinary they could be. Part 5, New Understanding. The sun rose slowly over the vast training world, casting light across the enormous arena. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan were already awake, stretching and preparing their bodies for the final day of challenges. Their muscles were sore from the previous drills, but they were ready. Humans had a way of turning pain into strength. Today would be the ultimate test. The alien commanders had arranged a complex set of trials. Physical strength, strategy, teamwork, and mental endurance would all be tested at the same time. The humans would face not only alien warriors, but also unpredictable obstacles designed to challenge every skill they had learned. The aliens were already gathering. Korra, Talrek, Veshin, and many others from across the galaxy watched silently. Smaller species hovered or walked near the edge of the arena, murmuring quietly. For the first time, the strongest warriors were not confident. The humans had already shown skill, endurance, and intelligence beyond what anyone expected. Now, it was time to see if they could do it again under the toughest conditions. Eric turned to his team. Today is not just about finishing the drills. It is about showing who we are. Stay focused, trust each other, and adapt to everything. We move as one. Ryan nodded, Laura tightened her gloves, and Megan adjusted her wrist straps. Together, they stepped into the arena. The first obstacle was a series of floating platforms high above the ground. Energy fields moved in random patterns, trying to push them off balance. Alien warriors stood on some platforms, armed and ready. The humans moved quickly, leaping, dodging, and landing with perfect timing. Eric led, using the smallest openings to pass safely. Ryan followed, adjusting his movements to cover Laura as she advanced. Megan calculated the timing of each step, guiding the group through the most difficult paths. From the sidelines, the aliens whispered in astonishment. "They are faster than anything I have seen," said one. "Even the strongest among us would struggle," said another. Korra's violet eyes glowed as she observed the humans' movements. Talrek's arms hung tense, and even Veshin seemed alert in a way he rarely was. The humans reached the next challenge, a maze of walls, barriers, and traps. They had only minutes to cross it while avoiding attacks from alien warriors and automated defense systems. Eric moved first, reading the path carefully. Ryan followed, using his long reach to disable traps before they triggered. Laura and Megan coordinated to create diversions, tricking the warriors and clearing the way. The maze was chaotic. Walls shifted, floors collapsed, and energy blasts shot in random directions. Yet the humans moved as one. Every step was deliberate. Every action was coordinated. Their muscles ached, their hearts raced, but their minds remained calm. They relied on instinct, training, and teamwork to survive each challenge. Korra whispered to Talrek, "They are not just strong. They are unstoppable. Even when facing impossible odds, they do not break." That is the true power of humans. Next, the humans faced a combat trial against elite alien warriors. Each warrior was stronger, faster, and more experienced than any human could match in raw strength. But the humans did not fight blindly. Eric and Ryan coordinated attacks and defenses, using movement and timing to avoid direct confrontation. Laura struck with precision, targeting weak points, while Megan created openings by distracting their opponents. The aliens attacked in unison, expecting the humans to fail. But every attack was met with a counter. Every strike was redirected, every movement anticipated. Slowly, the humans began to gain control, not by overpowering their enemies, but by outthinking them. From the sidelines, even the smallest alien observers grew silent. They had never seen anything like this. Humans were small, yes, but they moved with a unity, a focus, and a determination that no species could match. Neera, the insect-like alien, whispered to herself, "They are incredible. I have never seen warriors like them. They fight with mind, body, and heart." The humans reached the final obstacle, a massive open arena with multiple alien warriors and unpredictable hazards. Energy fields, moving platforms, and traps created chaos across the ground. The humans had to work together perfectly or risk failure. Eric shouted, "Split and cover each path. Watch each other." Ryan moved to the left, taking on two large alien warriors. Laura moved to the right, creating openings for Megan to advance in the center. They moved like a single organism, predicting attacks, coordinating movements, and reacting instantly. An enormous alien warrior named Dravok tried to strike Eric with his heavy staff. Eric dodged, used the staff's momentum to throw Dravok off balance, and kept moving. Ryan blocked a strike from another warrior while pushing Laura to safety. Megan redirected energy blasts, timing each move perfectly. Every action was calculated, every reaction precise. The alien observers could hardly believe what they were seeing. These humans were small, and yet they were controlling the battlefield. Their teamwork, endurance, and intelligence outmatched the raw power of even the most experienced alien warriors. Korra stepped forward. "They are extraordinary," she said softly. "Humans do not have the strongest bodies. They do not rely on weapons alone, but they have something we rarely see: willpower, focus, and unity. That is why they survive. That is why they win." Talrek's arms tightened. "We have underestimated them for too long. Strength alone cannot win against humans. Strategy, timing, and trust make them powerful beyond imagination." The humans continued to move through the final trial. Each challenge tested a different skill: speed, strength, reflexes, teamwork, and decision-making. They adapted instantly, corrected mistakes before they became problems, and supported each other through every obstacle. Eric, Ryan, Laura, and Megan reached the center of the arena together, exhausted but triumphant. They had completed every challenge. Every alien warrior present had watched them closely. Not a single alien moved to attack or interfere. The humans had proven something more important than raw power. They had proven that determination, intelligence, and teamwork could overcome any obstacle. Veshin, usually calm and analytical, hovered forward. "They are not just capable," he said quietly. "They are extraordinary. The galaxy has underestimated humans for centuries." Korra stepped into the arena, her violet eyes fixed on the humans. She nodded slowly. "You have shown the strength of will. You have shown intelligence and endurance. You are not like other species. You are remarkable." The other aliens watched silently. Even Talrek, proud and confident for centuries, lowered his head in respect. The humans had earned it. They had shown that strength did not only come from muscle, weaponry, or size. True strength came from will, determination, and the ability to adapt and work together. Eric looked at his team. Ryan, Laura, and Megan smiled faintly, proud but tired. "We did well," Eric said quietly. "We proved something important. Strength is more than power. It is teamwork, strategy, and the will to keep going." From the sidelines, many alien warriors whispered to each other. "We were wrong," one said. "We judged humans too quickly." Another added, "They are small, but they are unstoppable. We must respect them." As the sun set, the humans returned to their camp. Fires burned softly and the stars appeared above. They shared water and simple food, quietly discussing the day's lessons. Their muscles ached, but their spirits were strong. The galaxy's strongest fighters lingered near the arena, still watching. They had come to see humans as weak and small, and yet, after days of observation and challenges, they had learned to respect them. Humans were not the strongest in muscle or size, but they were unstoppable in other ways. Their unity, intelligence, adaptability, and relentless will made them a force to be reckoned with. Cora turned to Talrek and Veshin. "The galaxy has changed," she said. "Humans may be small, but their strength cannot be measured by physical power alone. They will shape the future whether we are ready or not." Talrek nodded slowly. "Yes, and we must learn from them. Underestimating humans is no longer an option." Veshin floated silently, analyzing everything he had seen. "Humans are not ordinary. They survive. They adapt. They improve. That is a power we have rarely witnessed." The humans slept under the stars that night, tired but proud. They had completed the ultimate trials and had shown the galaxy's strongest warriors that humans were not weak. They were clever, relentless, and united. They had proven that willpower and teamwork could overcome even the most powerful foes. And somewhere in the shadows, the alien champions whispered to each other, quietly agreeing that humans were no longer to be underestimated. The galaxy had a new kind of warrior. Small, intelligent, adaptable, and unstoppable. Humans. Tomorrow, and for years to come, everyone would remember the lessons taught by these four humans. The galaxy's strongest fighters had gone quiet, not out of fear, but out of respect. Humans had shown them that true strength came from within, and that no matter the odds, determination and teamwork could overcome anything.